They preach, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor," then fund fences and deportations. Is this the gospel or government spin? I'm Veritas Vox, and today we expose the cold calculus behind Christian border hawks who cloak cruelty in piety. If sanctuary means more than brick and mortar, why are so many pulpits cheering strict deportation? Strap in, we're about to unveil the church's most damning hypocrisy. Abraham's welcome. Genesis 18 portrays Abraham rushing to host strangers, an urgent model of radical hospitality. Levitical law, Leviticus 19:33 to 34 commands. When a stranger sojourns, you shall love him as yourself. There is no footnote allowing walls. Jesus and the stranger. Matthew 25:35 places welcome at Christ's core. Refugees become Christ himself in need, not policy problems. Yet today, over 300 Christian legislators back laws criminalizing sanctuary pastors. Many megachurches run zero refugee resettlement programs while preaching compassion. Evangelical aid agencies divert billions overseas, but balk at helping families at our doorstep. Selective mercy. Some pastors cite Romans 13, submit to governing authorities, to defend deportations, ignoring prophets who called out unjust kings. Bounded brotherhood. The idea that only co-religionists or citizens merit care twists the universal scope of the Great Commission. Fear-driven faith. Sermons warning of invasion stoke xenophobia rather than Christ-like courage, trading the good news for gated communities. These arguments erode gospel witness. Outsiders see a faith of fear, not of power over sin and death. Divide congregations. Younger members leaving in droves, demanding action over apathy. Betray our history. Early Christians were refugees too, often welcomed by pagan hosts. Sacred civil disobedience. In Philadelphia, Pastor Mary Henderson opened her church doors to a refugee family and was met with a lawsuit from the state. Her response, "We are not breaking the law, we are upholding God's law." Law and grace. Some lawyer theologians file appeals citing the U.S. Constitution and international human rights treaties. Yet local judges reject these arguments, asserting that secular laws hold supreme authority. Community corridors. Despite the pressure, networks of sanctuary churches establish safe passages, from pastoral hideouts to biblical pathways, staffed by volunteers willing to risk arrest in order to save lives. A mother's heartbreak. The Rodriguez family lost their 10-year-old son to sudden deportation. Mother Julia recalls, "He asked me, 'Why does God let you take my son?' Blind smiles. At a Texas refugee center, children paint signs reading, 'God will not abandon us.' Yet at night they weep in the dark, not knowing where home truly is." Church trauma. A Florida Baptist congregation fractures. Some parishioners aid newcomers, while others demand policies of America for Christians only. Drop your questions in the comments. You leave a like and subscribe, and I'll give you an answer. In the corridors of power, pastors wrestle with prayerful compassion or parishioner pressure, often choosing political expediency over biblical mandate. Compassionate clergy. Some pastors defy denominational directives, preaching sanctuary and sponsoring refugee families, citing Matthew 25. "When you welcomed the stranger, you welcomed me." They risk membership loss and denominational censure, yet insist that Christian charity transcends borders. Cautious shepherds. Others tread lightly, endorsing food drives but stopping short of offering sanctuary. They argue that churches must obey secular law first, believing that obedience to God does not override obey the state. This tightrope walk leaves many refugees in limbo. Contending counsel. Seminaries host heated panels. One side charges that unconditional welcome invites legal chaos. The other warns that half measures betray the gospel's radical call. The resulting division fractures clergy conferences and podcasts alike. When pulpits endorse policy, the pulpit's prophetic voice risks becoming a partisan echo. Sanctuary city. Showdowns. Mayors and bishops clash as churches declare themselves sanctuary congregations. City councils respond with fines or threats of zoning revocation, framing faith as civic defiance. Lobbying and legislation. Christian lobbying groups mobilize for both strict border enforcement and expanded refugee admissions, splitting along political lines rather than theological ones. Their PACs pour money into campaigns, turning pulpits into political battlegrounds. Election year flashpoints. During debates, candidates tout support from pro-life, pro-border pastors, while opposition rallies under open arms banners at church events. Faith groups become key voting blocs, leveraged by savvy politicians to stoke fear or hope. Media firestorms. Christian news outlets spotlight which congregations support ICE raids and which harbor families, creating a narrative that faith equals policy, not transcendent conviction. Where pulpits cower, the faithful rise, ordinary believers risking everything to shelter the most vulnerable. Micro-sanctuaries. In Austin, a network of house churches offers safe beds, meals, and legal support. Homeowners post discreet door hangers reading "All are welcome here," refusing to bow to local ordinances. Faith-powered convoys. Volunteers in Michigan convert vans into mobile aid stations, ferrying undocumented families to distant sponsors, outsmarting checkpoints and forging bonds across zip codes. Interfaith alliances. Jewish, Muslim, and Christian congregations in Atlanta coordinate Open Door Sundays, pooling resources to furnish apartments for refugees, defying city fines for harboring unlawful migrants. Digital underground, anonymous apps map safe houses and legal clinics. Encrypted chat rooms connect asylum seekers with sponsors. Christian techies turning faith into firewall against deportation. The ultimate question: will you echo Christ's open arms or join the choir of wall builders? Choose sides. Every church and Christian must declare sanctuary or separation. There is no middle ground. Risk everything. True disciples risk legal repercussions for the sake of the least of these. Comfort is the world's gospel, not ours. Reclaim the gospel. Love that stops at the border isn't gospel. It's gatekeeping in Jesus' name. Future remnant. History will remember those who welcomed strangers as heirs of Abraham's promise and judge the rest as apostates. Eternal judgment. In the final reckoning, it won't be theology transcripts, but acts of mercy that stand before the throne. When we turn away the stranger, we betray the very heart of Christ and imperil our own souls. Lost witness. A church that refuses refugees loses credibility. Outsiders see faith hollowed of its central command. Love the stranger. Moral blindness. Ignoring families in crisis numbs our spiritual senses. Complacency becomes sin as deadly as any overt rebellion. Eternal consequences. Matthew 25 warns that neglecting the least equates to rejecting Christ himself. Those pulpits risk eternal shame, not just political reproach. Communion's cost. Every table that excludes refugees fractures the body of Christ. Our sacraments lose power when fellowship stops at the border. The final test isn't what we preach, it's what we do when no one's watching. Live your gospel. Sponsor a refugee family. Let your home be their safe haven. Churchwide pledge: adopt a formal sanctuary resolution, no member left behind, advocate relentlessly, write letters, lobby officials, and join faith-based marches for humane policies. Teach the next generation. Embed hospitality into every Sunday school lesson. Pray without ceasing. Intercede for refugees daily. Let mercy fuel every petition. I am Veritas Vox. The border debate will define our legacy. Will we be remembered as bridge builders or wall raisers? The covenant you write today in deeds will echo into eternity.